This is Trainwreck, new Judd Apatow film.
Yeah, so obviously Judd Apatow was pretty much the darling of rom-coms, isn't he, really, in sort of Hollywood. I mean, he's made everything from... he made Knocked Up as well. He produced Bridesmaids. He wrote, obviously, 40-Year-Old Virgin as well.
I've just last night started watching Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Is that his as well?
Yeah. He pretty much started James Franco, Seth Rogen, all those guys' careers. If we went for Judd Apatow.
Yeah, obviously, so he's very accomplished in that genre, but I've never really been a fan of him.
I've never been a fan of the films.
They're very broad. I think that's the best way to put them. Like, they're very sort of lowbrow humour, with sort of trying to be relatable and all of that kind of thing. They're not lowest common denominator. They are a lot better than certain comedies, especially ones we've watched.
They're
this
good
year,
date movies,
like Search Party.
They're sort of nice and relatable, and you can go and you can take your partner and you can't feel threatened by it. It's sort of just a nice sort of pleasant 2+ hours, because they're always stupidly long.
Films. Well, I mean, obviously, there's like
I'm never gonna get them 2.5 hours back from Funny People, but
I liked Funny People.
I didn't like Funny
People was really good. Stop that. That's the last good thing Adam Sandler was in, I think. 7 years ago now.
I'm not. It doesn't matter.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it seems like I'm one of the few people who doesn't like it. But
yeah, I mean, so while they're not offensive or bad, they're not really. They're bread and butter.
But he is considered one of the better rom-com.
Oh yeah. I mean, he clearly knows the genre. He knows the conventions. He knows exactly how everything should play out. He knows how to do satisfying story structure. But obviously, they are generally overlong, and generally they don't avoid the cliches that he's clearly trying to lampoon. However, Trainwreck it's the thing is, I mean, obviously the main star of the film, Amy Schumer, is obviously becoming quite a bit of a darling in America for the fact that she's a headstrong woman who's clearly trying to make her opinions and sort of her views be heard. Pretty much, she's becoming a bit of a figurehead, really, for sort of that kind of movement, But the thing is, like, I mean, I just don't really find her comedy that funny.
No, and it's quite easy to sort of pin down her shtick, basically. Loud build up, mumbled punchline. Like that's kind of it with her.
Like I think it's fantastic that she's being so forthright and trying to be as headstrong as you can, not putting up with anything, not putting up with any crap at all. She is making sure that she is out there and putting herself about, pretty much. She's making waves. But I don't really a fan of her comedy. So obviously, Trainwreck, directed by Judd Apatow. It's written by Schumer, and she is the star as well.
Essentially playing herself.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, the character she's playing is called Amy.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much. I mean, I do hate that when people name that. Do you think people just do that so they can get into the character more, or just so they get easier? That's always been like a really cynical thing. I don't know.
I felt the connection to it though. I felt the connection between the two of them.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on the story.
Yeah.
All right. So Trainwreck picks up with Colin Quinn's character Gordon Townsend, who's given advice to his two daughters, Amy and the other sister, who turns up to be Brie Larson, who I did not.
Not bad at all.
I did not recognise her because I don't recognise her without the glasses usually.
Really?
Yeah.
She kind of looks the same in everything.
No, I never usually recognise her without the glasses. I thought it was Taylor Schilling at first. Like they do look a bit of.
No.
They do look a bit alike.
No,
they do.
No.
No, they do.
No.
I think they do.
Doesn't matter.
No. Someone look this up. While we talk, someone
tell him he's wrong.
Tweet in.
#SparkFilmShow.
This is going to be the most responses we get, isn't it? Just going to be loads of pictures just spamming us, telling that they don't look alike. So anyway, he tells these daughters life advice. He's just saying that this thing called monogamy that isn't realistic. They can't get into a relationship in the future with just one person because it won't last and they won't have a fulfilling life with it. Then we flash forward to many years later, and Amy Schumer is now grown up and she's a full on. I mean, what's the best way to say that she is being PG here? She's a train wreck.
She's certainly following her father's advice.
Yeah. She's sleeping about. She's doing lots of recreational drugs. She's drinking all the time. She's basically not giving a crap about anything. She is making sure that she's as uncommitted as possible. With no strings attached and everything that she does. But she's dating a sort of gym. Gym freak. Probably the best way to put him. Stephen John Cena, played by John Cena, who I'll get to because he steals the show a lot. Amy works at a men's magazine, who's basically the most vulgar thing you can think of. That's doing all these crappy BuzzFeed articles, that is not good at all. That is clickbait in a magazine, pretty much. I mean, so like the OK magazine.
It's more like your sort of FHM men's.
Yeah. So
Maxim kind of thing.
Don't know why I said OK there. Yeah, Maxim. Nuts. The old.
Yeah.
It's a moment of silence for those old awful.
There's no mourning to be had there.
Does the other one still go?
I'm not talking about this on the radio. This is so stupid.
Yeah, so she works at the men's magazine, and her boss, played by Tilda Swinton.
Unrecognisable Tilda Swinton.
Oh, yeah,
she always changes herself.
Strange.
Yeah,
it's peculiar.
It's unusual. I've never seen her like that. That's unusual.
I mean, like she was desperate to work in a Judd Apatow film, so as soon as that part was made, like Amy Schumer wrote in the script like a Tilda Swinton type, and she was like desperate to get on board.
Yeah. So she meets with her boss Diana, and they're looking for new articles for the magazine, and basically there's an article pitched about a sports doctor called Aaron Connors, played by Bill Hader, who's playing the straight guy in this one, and well. Were you disagreeing with me there? Or
no, I'm agreeing, but I'm disagreeing with why Bill Hader.
Yeah, I get what you mean now. Yeah, so obviously he plays the sports doctor, and Amy Schumer's character basically berates sports to see how stupid they are. And Diana, the boss, played by Tilda Swinton, like I said, she basically thinks that that'd be a good angle for the article, so she puts him on that. So what I think about this film really is that it's pretty good. Like I mean, I did say to you. My first reaction when I saw it was just meh, pretty much, because it's nothing really special. I mean, I do think that she is pretty obnoxious in her comedy, and there's not really much I like about that. But the fact that this did seem to have something a bit more than the usual Apatow story, I guess, because it did try to be a little more relatable in that kind of sense. I mean, they don't try to go for those brash emotional moments, despite the fact that obviously when it gets to the crescendo, it does hit that beat. It does do a lot more than it usually does. It does the usual Apatow stuff, but this did try to do a lot different stuff that he usually does. I can see why people like it so much, and especially in the first hour, it's extremely funny at points, because obviously John Cena just completely steals the show. I mean, there's some really awkward scenes in there that are just really funny.
He's actually got a really surprisingly incredible comic timing. He's actually really sharp.
If you worked in WWE for as long as
just look at The Rock.
And Batista, they are all actors essentially, so it's not much of a leap.
Exactly. I mean,
we shouldn't be this surprised by how good he is.
I mean, going all the way back to Roddy Piper, and that industry prepares you for another industry, But he steals the show at most points. LeBron James, obviously, you've seen in the trailer, he gets a few good moments.
Also quite good.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I don't really. I mean, it is sort of cynical to have all those star cameos in, but like they are really funny.
At least they're not given cameos. It's more they are given more fleshed out roles.
They are given fleshed out roles. They are just there. Obviously, there are some like really sports related jokes that only like sports fans will get, but they are broad enough a lot to land. And that first hour is really funny. John Cena has some fantastic lines, and they have really good chemistry, the whole cast. But the thing is, when it reaches that midpoint where it's going to start getting really serious, like there's a major event in Amy's life that sort of hits home, and that sort of leads on to the last half of the film, and that's when it sort of edges away from being that sort of broad comedy and into the sort of the more drama side. But that really is when it starts to drag a lot, because you just don't really. I mean, you do care. The characters are good. I mean, I like Amy Schumer in this. Despite the fact I'm not really a big fan of her comedy, she does tone it down relatively enough in this to make me like her enough. And I do like the fact that Bill Hader is trying something different. But for me, he just doesn't really work as a straight guy as much as he does in comedies, because he is believable in this, and I did like him. But it's just. He doesn't seem to be having much fun, or like he doesn't seem to be excelling in it. I don't know what the best way to put it is.
In this, he looked a bit like Adam Scott, like that sort of like buttoned up sort of like pencil push.
I mean, I guess that's the point. He's meant to be this sort of bland, sort of out like not exactly special in any way,
professional guy,
really career man, dude. Just like Amy is really. But I didn't really buy that. But just like in every Apatow film, it just dragged so long at the end. They could have at least cut out about 25 minutes of that film and just made it a lot more satisfying, and how the whole payoff was with the whole emotional climax, and it all just it does all of the traditional Apatow beats, the whole traditional rom-com stuff, but it was satisfying enough for me to enjoy it. But I do feel like there was a lot of fat that could have just been trimmed off easily, or just completely reworked. And despite the fact that it was really funny in the first hour, it really did just lag near the end. It lost a lot of steam. I can't underestimate that enough. It really did lose a lot of steam near the end. But besides that, it's funny. You know, it's pretty funny. You know, I mean, it's got some smart humor in there. It's got that sort of, you can see the essence of her style. You know, when you can see her sort of brash style within that. You know, not just the loud, obnoxious comedy that she sometimes does, which is a testament. You know, it's good writing at points, but for me, when it drags, it really does drag. And if they did cut off some of this film, it would have been a lot better for me. That's pretty much
my problem with it. I mean, Amy Schumer, as you said, I'm not particularly a fan of her. It's quite a similar sort of material that she does constantly, and it is essentially her playing herself, as I've said. But no, I think that there are some jokes that land. There's quite a lot of cultural a lot of pop culture references that don't really sort of work.
No, they don't.
Bill Hader. I mean, it's not that he can't do dramatic roles or straight guy roles, because he did the Skeleton Twins last year and he was fantastic in that. He was absolutely brilliant. But for this, I mean, there's a few bits where it's a bit awkward to watch him do what he does, and Tilda Swinton is probably one of the best bits of it. Just how unrecognisable she is, and some of the things she gets to say, and and I think Vanessa from Saturday Night Live, who plays the best friend, sort of best friend who works at the magazine, she's hilarious as well. The thing is, though, with Schumer's script, not all of the jokes land, and she's supposed to have this understanding of rom-coms that she can sort of manipulate them and do sort of refreshing things with it. The problem then is when it starts seeping into rom-com territory and it becomes an out-and-out rom-com. It could have been something sort of really...
It becomes the thing she was trying to avoid.
I mean, there are a few little things. I mean, there's a scene involving the bench from Manhattan. It's the exact same shot.
There's a great Woody. It's a great Woody Allen joke.
That's a really good joke. But aside from that sort of midpoint where you've got like a nice little bit of overlap where there's like sort of comedy and romance, and then the serious incident happens, and then it kind of nothing really funny happens until the end. You still get the occasional like Schumer like pot jokes, and that's all, you know, sort of seeping in there. And then it gets to the end and it just doesn't feel very satisfying. That entire sort of final sequence didn't feel very, because it sort of came out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, that's the resolution. Okay, fine.
Well, I just like just how personable it was. You know, it was a lot more grounded than a lot of Apatow stuff, and she was a really likable protagonist.
It was more relatable. They feel more down to earth and sort of middle ground.
How many times does she do the Jason Schwartzman face?
A lot.
Yeah, the sort of like
the way they smile is very similar.
Quite a lot of
the mumbling kind of just upturned corners.
Quite a lot of the comedy,
like that.
A lot.
It's weird.
Quite a lot of the comedy in this does come from the expressions.
Yeah.
You know, being expression.
Ed Schumer's quiet delivery, who does it like this. Yeah, that's kind of all it is. I mean, it's fine.
It feels fresh enough to work, and I would recommend it. You know,
that's a recommend. Yeah. I will say you don't need me to recommend it, because I think a lot of people are gonna go and